The sun was shining on a busy city street, and Brucelee was casually walking, enjoying a quiet afternoon. People were going about their day, some grabbing coffee, others strolling with their families. Bruce, as usual, moved with calm confidence, every step purposeful, every motion measured. His presence alone seemed to bring a sense of respect, even from strangers. Out of nowhere, a police officer approached. He looked agitated and impatient, scanning the crowd before locking his gaze on Bruce. Something about Bruce's appearance seemed to irritate the officer, though nothing about Bruce's actions suggested trouble. The officer stepped closer, his tone sharp, asking questions in a way that immediately made the onlookers uneasy. Bruce remained calm. He answered politely, his voice steady and controlled. "I'm just walking," he said. "Is there a problem?" The officer, however, seemed intent on asserting authority, ignoring Bruce's words and moving closer. And then, the unthinkable happened. In a split second, the officer attempted a forceful move, aiming at Bruce's face. The crowd gasped. People froze, unsure whether to intervene or simply record what was unfolding. You could feel the tension in the air. It was a moment suspended in time. But even in that instant, Bruce didn't panic. His calm eyes scanned the officer, his body poised but relaxed. He didn't retaliate immediately. Instead, he let the moment hang, letting the sheer audacity of what had just happened sink in for everyone watching. The bystanders' phones clicked and whirred, capturing every angle. Mothers clutched their children, friends leaned in closer, and whispers spread like wildfire. Did that just happen? Who is that? Bruce's composure contrasted sharply with the officer's aggression. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was charged electric. Everyone could sense that something incredible was about to unfold. Nobody expected what Bruce did next. Even the crowd froze in disbelief. "Make sure you stay until the end. You don't want to miss this." The moment hung in the air like a thunderclap. The crowd around Bruce froze in disbelief. Phones were raised instantly, recording every second of what had just happened. Murmurs and whispers spread across the street like wildfire. People exchanged glances, some shocked, some angry, all captivated by the unfolding scene. Bruce remained calm. His breathing was steady, his eyes scanning the crowd and the officer. He hadn't moved aggressively. Instead, he had taken a small step back, showing that he wasn't going to escalate the situation, but wasn't afraid either. That balance, calmness in the face of sudden aggression, made everyone watching stop and take notice. The officer, however, didn't seem to realize the tension he had created. His gestures were sharp and impatient, as if trying to regain control. "Step aside," he barked, pointing toward Bruce, who politely responded, "I'm not causing any trouble. I'm just walking." The words were simple, yet they carried the weight of quiet authority, the kind that commands respect without shouting. Nearby, bystanders whispered among themselves, some cautiously stepping closer, others remaining at a safe distance. "Isn't that Brucelee?" one voice asked softly. Phones kept rolling, capturing both the crowd's reactions and the intense face-off. Even those who didn't recognize him felt the magnetic energy Bruce exuded, a calm, yet commanding presence that drew attention and admiration. The officer grew more frustrated, waving his hands as if to demand immediate compliance. But Bruce didn't flinch. His posture remained strong, upright, and controlled. The crowd sensed a shift. Some people leaned in, whispering to one another, "You can't just push someone like that. Look at how composed he is." Others started holding their phones a little higher, recording the scene in anticipation of what would come next. Amid the murmurs, the emotional tension became palpable. Everyone was waiting for a response. Would Bruce strike back? Would he speak up? Or would he stay calm and allow the situation to unfold naturally? The uncertainty created a collective, almost physical tension that made every viewer feel part of the moment. Where are you watching this from? Comment your city or country below. I want to see how far this story reaches. Children peeked from behind their parents, captivated by the unusual scene. Even seasoned pedestrians were frozen in place, unsure whether to intervene, cheer, or simply watch. The camera lenses of smartphones captured Bruce's poise and the officer's growing agitation. The energy in the air was electric. You could feel the collective heartbeat of everyone present. In this charged atmosphere, Bruce remained the calm center of the storm. The contrast between his serene demeanor and the officer's aggressive stance only intensified the drama. Everyone watching instinctively knew that something monumental was about to happen, and no one wanted to blink. The crowd's anticipation, combined with Bruce's calm energy, created a tension so gripping it felt like time had slowed. Every whisper, every phone recording, every hesitant step by the officer added layers to the suspense. It was clear this confrontation was no ordinary street incident. It was about to become a lesson in composure, skill, and quiet authority. The seconds that follow will shock everyone in the crowd, and you won't believe what Bruce does next. The atmosphere on the street had changed completely. What had begun as an unexpected confrontation had transformed into a moment thick with tension. Every person present seemed to hold their breath, their eyes glued to Brucelee and the officer. The air was charged, almost electric, as people instinctively leaned closer to witness what would happen next. The officer, clearly frustrated, waved his hands in exasperation, trying to assert control. "Step aside. You can't just stand there," he shouted, his voice echoing down the street. But Bruce didn't flinch. His eyes remained steady, calm yet alert, his posture upright and unwavering. There was no fear, no panic, just the serene confidence of someone who knew exactly how to handle the situation. The crowd whispered among themselves. Some recognized him, while others didn't, but everyone could feel the presence of someone extraordinary. Mothers gently held their children, unsure whether to step forward or retreat. Passers-by stopped in their tracks, some holding their phones high to record the unfolding drama. The silence of anticipation contrasted sharply with the officer's impatient yelling, making the moment feel almost cinematic. Bruce's calm demeanor seemed to infuriate the officer even more. Every polite response from Bruce, "I haven't done anything wrong. Please, I'm just walking," only seemed to escalate the officer's frustration. He took another step forward, trying to intimidate Bruce, but the masterful composure in Bruce's stance made him hesitate for just a moment. That brief pause was enough for the crowd to sense that Bruce wasn't an ordinary person. They could see the control, focus, and discipline in his every move. Bystanders began whispering excitedly, some nudging each other. "Look at him. He isn't scared at all. Who is that guy? Did that officer just overstep?" Every whisper added to the growing tension. Phones captured every angle, not just of the confrontation, but of the emotions in the crowd, the awe, the disbelief, the suspense. People were on the edge of their seats, unable to look away. Amid the crowd, a few brave individuals moved slightly closer, curious but cautious. The uncertainty was palpable. Everyone wanted to know what Bruce would do next. Would he respond aggressively, or would he continue to remain calm? That unpredictability made the moment almost unbearable to watch, as if the entire street were holding a collective heartbeat. Bruce's focus never wavered. His calm eyes were locked on the officer, reading every motion, every gesture. There was a subtle energy emanating from him, a sense that he could handle anything without raising a hand in anger. That energy alone was enough to make the officer second-guess his own actions. If you were in Bruce's shoes, would you fight back immediately or stay calm? Type fight or wait in the comments. As the officer continued to step closer, tension in the crowd built further. People instinctively backed up, unsure whether to intervene or watch. The murmurs grew louder, the excitement and fear blending into a palpable buzz. Every second seemed stretched, every movement weighted with meaning. It was clear to everyone watching. This was more than just a confrontation. It was a test of discipline, patience, and strategy. Bruce had already turned the situation into a lesson in control, demonstrating that calm confidence could command attention more effectively than aggression ever could. The seconds dragged, the officer's impatience mounting. The crowd's whispers and the clicks of phone cameras filled the air. Everyone could feel it. Something was about to happen, something that would leave everyone stunned. The moment Bruce makes his move will shock everyone in the crowd, and you won't believe what happens next. The street seemed to hold its breath. Every person present was frozen, their eyes locked on Brucelee and the officer. What had started as a sudden confrontation had transformed into a charged standoff, and the tension was almost tangible. The murmurs of the crowd blended with the distant hum of traffic, creating a soundtrack for what felt like a cinematic moment. Brucelee stood tall, his body relaxed but alert. His eyes scanned the officer carefully, reading his every gesture, every subtle twitch. The calm in his posture contrasted sharply with the officer's impatience, whose movements had become increasingly sharp and erratic. People in the crowd could feel the shift. The energy in the air had changed from shock to anticipation. The officer, sensing the attention, tried to regain control. "Step aside. Don't make me repeat myself," he barked, his voice rising in frustration. But Bruce didn't flinch. Instead, he took a deliberate, slow step back, signaling that he was unafraid, yet unwilling to escalate unnecessarily. The crowd noticed the subtle power in that movement, the quiet authority that didn't need words. Onlookers whispered, their voices blending into a low hum. "Who is he? Why isn't he reacting? Look at how calm he is." Each word amplified the suspense. The people recording on their phones captured not just the standoff, but the ripple of emotions spreading through the crowd. Shock, awe, curiosity, and a sense of expectancy. Even those who didn't know Bruce personally felt the magnetic energy he exuded, a presence that commanded respect without a single aggressive gesture. Children peeked from behind their parents, wide-eyed, sensing that something important was unfolding. Pedestrians paused mid-step, unable to look away. Even the officer hesitated, momentarily taken aback by the sheer composure radiating from Bruce. That split-second pause was enough to heighten the suspense. It was as if the street itself was holding its collective breath. Bruce's calmness wasn't passive. Every subtle movement, every controlled breath communicated readiness. He had become the center of a silent storm, and everyone watching instinctively knew that the next few moments would be decisive. The energy around him seemed to expand, compelling everyone to lean in, both physically and emotionally. The crowd began whispering excitedly, guessing what Bruce might do next. Some speculated he would respond with precision and speed. Others weren't sure if he would act at all. That uncertainty, that tension between expectation and reality, created a mental trap for viewers. Everyone's imagination raced, anticipation mounting with each passing second. Could you stay this calm in a tense situation? Comment calm if you think you could, or nervous if you would struggle. As the officer took another step forward, Bruce's eyes followed every motion, calculating, anticipating, and maintaining control. The subtle shift in Bruce's posture told the crowd something incredible was about to happen. Time seemed to slow. Every heartbeat felt amplified. Even those recording couldn't capture the weight of the moment. They could only document it. The contrast couldn't have been more striking. Bruce, poised and composed, versus the officer, frustrated and tense. The street had become a stage, the crowd the audience, and Bruce the unspoken lead in a lesson about focus, discipline, and silent authority. Every person present could feel it. The suspense had reached its peak. Everyone was waiting, not just for action, but for a demonstration of mastery, control, and consequence. It was a moment that would define the scene, leaving an impression on everyone watching long after it ended. In the next moments, Brucelee will make a move that will leave the entire street in awe. Stay tuned. You won't want to blink. The street was silent, except for the low hum of cameras and whispered murmurs from the crowd. Everyone was waiting, eyes fixed on Brucelee and the officer. The tension had reached a boiling point. Every second felt stretched, every movement amplified. People leaned forward instinctively, as if anticipating a performance they couldn't look away from. Bruce's eyes never left the officer. Every subtle shift in posture, every tiny movement was calculated and precise. He exuded calm authority, a presence that demanded attention without aggression. The officer, unaware of the energy radiating from Bruce, took another step forward, trying to assert dominance. But his actions were slower, less confident than before. The crowd could sense the shift. Something extraordinary was about to happen. With a fluid, almost imperceptible motion, Bruce positioned himself. There was no tension in his body, only focus. His hand moved slightly, not in anger, not in retaliation, but in preparation. The crowd instinctively leaned closer, phones capturing every second, every nuance of the encounter. Bruce's mastery was clear. He didn't need force to command attention. His presence alone created anticipation, a mental trap for every person watching. The officer lunged forward, expecting Bruce to stumble or react defensively. But Bruce was ready. With incredible speed and precision, he delivered a controlled, safe counter-movement. It wasn't violent. It was strategic, a demonstration of skill, balance, and timing. The crowd gasped audibly. You could see the shock in the officer's eyes as he realized he had underestimated Bruce. People around held their breath, the tension almost tangible. Mothers pulled children closer, friends exchanged astonished looks, and whispers spread like wildfire. Did he just... That move was incredible. I can't believe how calm he stayed. Every reaction amplified the suspense and awe, making the moment feel monumental. Bruce's counter wasn't about harm. It was about control, composure, and turning the situation around without escalating violence. He demonstrated that skill and confidence could neutralize tension without causing real harm. The crowd responded immediately, erupting in quiet applause, cheers, and murmurs of admiration. Could you stay this calm and react this perfectly under pressure? Type calm if you think you could, or nervous if it would be too hard. The officer stumbled slightly, his frustration and disbelief apparent. For the first time, the people around him saw him falter. Bruce didn't advance or intimidate further. He simply held his position, standing tall, composed, and unshaken. The subtle power of restraint was overwhelming. By now, everyone filming could feel the energy shift. The street had become a stage, Bruce the master of the moment, and the officer the unwitting participant. Every viewer mentally held onto the suspense, caught in a web of anticipation and awe. Even those who didn't recognize Bruce as a martial arts legend could sense the extraordinary skill and discipline on display. The crowd erupted in soft cheers and applause, but Bruce remained calm. He wasn't gloating. His eyes scanned the officer, and his body exuded quiet authority, a message that skill and patience always triumph over aggression. The atmosphere was charged, electric, and unforgettable. You won't believe how the officer reacts next. Stay tuned to see the moment he realizes he made a huge mistake. The street was electric. Every eye was fixed on the officer, who now found himself off balance, both physically and mentally. For the first time, the crowd saw hesitation and surprise on his face. The swift, controlled response from Brucelee had completely shifted the energy of the encounter. What had started as a tense confrontation had now transformed into a moment of revelation, an unexpected lesson in composure, skill, and the consequences of underestimating someone. The officer tried to regain his composure, but it was clear he had misjudged Bruce. The subtle gasps from the crowd punctuated the moment. People whispered, some shaking their heads in disbelief, others murmuring admiration. "He's incredible," someone said. "That's not just reaction. It's mastery." The atmosphere was charged, yet safe. No one was harmed, but the emotional impact was undeniable. Bruce remained calm, standing tall, his posture relaxed but confident. He didn't gloat, didn't raise his voice, and didn't take advantage of the situation. His eyes, focused yet gentle, scanned the officer and the crowd. The lesson was clear. True strength lies in restraint, discipline, and the ability to respond without escalating conflict. The officer, on the other hand, could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. His initial aggression had backfired, not physically in a dangerous way, but socially and mentally. He was now embarrassed in front of the crowd, many of whom had been filming the encounter. The realization that he had acted impulsively, without understanding who he was confronting, was palpable. Bystanders began to cheer quietly, not for retaliation, but for Bruce's composure and the lesson he had demonstrated. Phones continued to record every second, capturing the shift from tension to admiration. Mothers smiled, children looked wide-eyed, and even casual passers-by felt the ripple of respect spreading through the crowd. The entire scene became a live lesson in calm authority. Have you ever seen someone stay calm and turn a situation around like this? Share your story in the comments. As the officer stood there, the weight of the mistake he had made became evident. His body language shifted, showing both regret and a subtle acknowledgement of Bruce's skill. He stepped back slightly, raising his hands in an almost apologetic gesture. The crowd responded with nods, murmurs, and even small rounds of applause. No one cheered for conflict. Everyone admired composure, courage, and the ability to handle a tense situation wisely. Bruce took a deep breath, signaling the end of the confrontation without needing to say a word. His calm authority left a lasting impression on everyone watching. The moment was no longer about the officer's mistake. It was about the power of discipline, patience, and staying composed under pressure. The energy in the street had completely transformed. What started as fear and tension became respect and awe. The incident reminded everyone that reacting impulsively, especially in a position of authority, can backfire, while calmness and skill create respect and admiration. And now, the moment goes viral. Millions around the world are seeing how Bruce Lee handled this shocking confrontation. You won't believe the reaction online. The incident that had unfolded on that busy street didn't stay local for long. Within hours, videos from bystanders' phones were shared online, capturing every second of the tense encounter between Bruce Lee and the officer. People around the world watched in awe as the story spread across social media, news platforms, and discussion forums. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Millions were drawn not just to the shocking moment of the officer's initial aggression, but to Bruce's calm, measured response. Comment sections flooded with admiration, with viewers praising his discipline, restraint, and skill. "This is what true composure looks like," one viewer typed. "Imagine staying this calm under pressure," wrote another. The story resonated globally because it wasn't about conflict. It was about respect, control, and turning a tense moment into a demonstration of mastery. Meanwhile, the officer who had acted impulsively became the subject of discussion as well. While no one wished harm upon him, the collective online audience recognized that his aggression had consequences. People debated the importance of patience, careful judgment, and emotional control in positions of authority. The lesson was clear. Rash actions, especially fueled by misjudgment, can backfire dramatically. Bystanders who had witnessed the event firsthand shared their perspectives online, amplifying the story. Mothers, children, and ordinary pedestrians described how Bruce's calm demeanor had transformed fear into awe, creating a moment of collective learning. Those who had been initially shocked by the confrontation now celebrated the lesson it had delivered. Strength isn't in aggression. It's in composure, clarity, and the ability to respond rather than react. If you believe staying calm and composed can turn any situation around, type calm in the comments. The ripple effect didn't stop there. Bruce Lee's actions sparked discussions about leadership, self-control, and the power of discipline, not only in martial arts, but in everyday life. Teachers, coaches, and even ordinary social media users shared the story to inspire others. The incident became more than a viral video. It became a learning moment, demonstrating how courage, skill, and mental clarity can influence any high-pressure situation. Even weeks later, clips of the event continued to circulate, each showing Bruce's calm response in a slightly different way, emphasizing different lessons. People around the world began referencing it as an example of how staying composed in stressful situations can lead to respect and positive outcomes, rather than escalation and regret. Finally, the story left an undeniable impression. In moments of tension, skillful patience, awareness, and calm authority not only protect oneself, but also inspire those watching. Bruce Lee had turned what could have been a frightening confrontation into a lesson in courage, discipline, and mental strength. If you believe that calmness and composure can turn any situation around, type calm in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible, inspiring stories like this one. Share this video with friends who need a reminder that strength comes from control, not conflict.